Hey, Nicole, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks
How
for
do you like
having me.
how do you like podcasting? Perfectly Twisted's a fun podcast to listen to. How do you like it?
Thanks. I liked it. I didn't think I was gonna like it just because sometimes I find talking just so exhausting.
Yeah, I get it.
So often it's like, but I find it really enjoyable. I have a really good time.
Yeah, you guys have a great rapport. That helps too. You
Yeah,
know.
yeah. I think I would probably get bored easier if I did it by myself. Um, So I like having Dave there and bouncing off of him and, our friendship.
Yeah, yeah. I gotta say it's pretty cool to have a guest on whose poster I had on my wall as a teenager. And you and I are the same age. So
Uh-huh.
I don't think this will ever happen again. So I think that's a good thing. I'll never have a guest whose poster I had on the wall. So that's kind of a good thing. So how are you feeling? How are you? How is everything? Just whatever you wanted to say in that regard.
Okay, I'm good. I'm tired. I'm
Yeah.
really tired. My energy level is still a little bit on reserve and my body it hurts a lot. I'm only 3 months out of treatment. So I put it through 8 months of treatment, so I'm figuring it's probably going to take about that to get back to normal.
Yeah, because you look fabulous. Like you look
Thanks.
fantastic. Yeah, yeah.
Thanks.
It's funny because we were talking about you because my wife is getting a double mastectomy in the summer. Just because it's in her genes and her family, and her mom like never kind of noticed it. She died when my wife was at 14, I think. So
Oh,
she's getting. So I was thinking about you a lot, what you've been going through, and what my wife is going to go through in the summer. So you've been a topic of conversation in our household.
it's tough. It's tough. The mastectomy part is I feel like it's something you get used to pretty easy. Like she'll be okay. She's gonna
Yeah,
be the surgery itself isn't really that bad. Um is she gonna do mastectomy with reconstruction or
I
is she
believe
just
it's
gonna
reconstruction. Yeah, yep. I believe it's reconstruction.
it goes really quickly. Like I
Okay.
only had a flat chest for like 2 weeks or something.
Yeah, yeah,
And then
and
they pump that thing up and you're you feel much better and much more normal.
and I only say this because you've said this publicly, but like you had one because the doctor didn't want to compromise your immune system, correct? Like he wanted to, yeah, which was, I guess, is that something you glad you stuck to?
I go back and forth about it, but I try not to put too much thought into it because here I am.
Yeah,
We did what we did and my journey is we're all where we're supposed to be in life is my belief. So I just deal with what I have at hand. And the plus side to waiting too is I don't have to remove the other one. So this gave me a good idea of what it's like
right,
instead
right,
of just
right.
going full blown too. And the thing about the surgery that was horrible is the lymph node removal. So if she doesn't have to do that, it's even better because that
Yeah,
is what is painful. That was what was it like freezes your shoulder for a while. You can't move your arm. You can't put your arm down. Like there's just all these restrictions. So
right.
that was the difficult part. The mastectomy part, listen, you do what you need to do to stay alive.
No, that's really well said. How many people have reached out to you? Just people that have gone through what you've gone through or about to go through what you've gone through. How many people have reached out to you just maybe to thank you even? Like have you seen a lot of that type of engagement?
So many. I mean, it's
Yeah.
countless. And that's why I'm so happy also that I came out publicly because had I not, I wouldn't have the support team that I have. I mean, complete strangers just wrapped their arms around me and lifted me up. And I've learned the most from other survivors. I've gained the most confidence, from other survivors. I've it's normalized it for me because of other survivors, and without that, I just would be completely lost. And I love when people comment on my stuff about, I'm a 10-year survivor, I'm a 5-year survivor, 35-year
Mm.
survivor. It's those little things that just give you so much hope and keep you going.
Ironically, as we're speaking on in breast cancer awareness month, ironically, how we are speaking in October. So yeah,
Yeah.
some of those moments are really genuine and really sweet. Like the one with and people could check it out on the internet, where your daughters told you to take off your helmet. I think you guys were skiing or
Yeah.
snowboarding, and you had some hair, and then you're like, that's a genuine moment that like wasn't like sometimes you watch social media, it's like, okay, somebody rehearsed this, and that was just such a spot on, genuine, like honesty, like refreshing, Nicole.
Yeah, thanks. I tried. It's really funny because I was like, I'm going to document this. And there's a lot that I've documented that I haven't shown. Um, because I have to get through all this and figure out what I'm going to do with all of it. But the irony of it is through this journey, I find myself picking up my phone less and less, and like
Mm,
living with just my eyes and forgetting to record, and forgetting as we go on in this. I've just, my appreciation for life has made me forgetful to record these moments. So it's ironic and it's funny, but yes, I have caught a lot of stuff. And yeah, these are the things that happen. I knew my
yeah.
hair was going to fall out. That's why I cut it short. But when it starts falling out, like, it hits so differently, it lands differently, and you're like, oh my God. So
Mm,
yeah,
yeah.
and I was in public. I was in public, and it was all over the place, and you couldn't even see it when I watched the film back, like, where it all was, but it just was everywhere. And and then we cried. We sat there and cried, and then when I got home, I shaved my head. And that was another authentic moment when I shaved my head. My daughter came home from school, and I said, "I think it's time." And she said, "Is a lot came out today?" And I said, "Yeah." And then I turned and I walk away, and she said, "Oh my God, Mom, you should see the back of your head."
Yeah.
So it was really, really bald in the back, and that I couldn't see. So it was definitely time. And yeah, it's
Yeah, your bravery and courage is like astounding. Like it's just amazing to watch. Like it's real, it's honest. Like I don't know. I can't say that enough to you. You are very close to your kids, Keegan and Dylan. Is that correct? I
yeah.
have that.
Mhm.
Um, what do you love most about your kids, Nicole?
Well, gosh, I think that they're just, like, such better people than I am, and,
Mm,
I'm amazed at them every day at how cool they are and how smart they are and what deep thinkers they are and how empathetic they are, and, the love that we have is they've taught me unconditional love, so that's something that is, invaluable. Like, that's something that uh, there's no words for that one. So it's this constant love that I've never felt before in my life, and I look at them and I think they're so amazing, and then they love me back, like,
mm.
they also, yeah, so it's just this love fest. And again, they're so much more forward than I was, like, in their thoughts and their emotions, so much more mature than I was, and I envy that about them. I just look at them and, in amazement, and just so proud of them.
You know what term applies to your kids, Nicole? Old souls. Like they are like,
Yes.
what I'm saying? Just from watching the videos of your life and your Instagram, all that other stuff, it's just they are old souls. They are way beyond like mentally this. And
Yeah,
that's such a refreshing thing to see.
they really are. Yeah, and I say that about them a lot too, and I think it's what I needed in my life, and, I'm happy to have been the vessel to bring them here. And,
Mm.
yeah, we've taught each other a lot.
I'm an older dad. I say this a lot, but like parenthood has changed my life in ways I never thought possible. Like people can describe it all they want, Nicole, but unless you live it, you have no idea. I mean, you've obviously you know it, but like the effect of it is unbelievable. Like I could not imagine my life without my two kids. I could not imagine it.
Yeah, no, it's a game changer. It puts so everything into perspective, I feel like, it makes, and listen, having children isn't for everybody, so I respect the people that choose not to, but for me, and it sounds like for you too, that's what we're here for. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, yeah, and you talk about, like, moments where you pick up your phone, you don't pick up like, when you have kids, like, I find myself, like, putting the phone aside a little more, like, kind of, "You know what? This is a moment I need to absorb. I don't need to be looking at my cell phone." It's just the little things that, like, I'm going around once, like, I wanna absorb all of this and just take
Yeah,
all this love and just to eat it and drink it and breathe it and all that stuff. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? It's just that's the stuff I want. I was thinking about you because I cover Comic Cons too, and I had talked to Shannon Doherty on a lot of occasions, not a talk, but like seen her on a couple of occasions, said hello, whatever. And I found a video today of you guys on TV on a game show. Do you remember this? Do you
Was this
remember?
is this Scrabble?
Do you mind if I, like, for those watching, can I just show them really quick? Do you mind if I
Yeah.
put this up on the screen? Yeah,
Yes.
it's really kind of awesome. So I will show this just so people can get an idea of what I'm talking about.
0.3 seconds. Nicole Eggert's going to try to beat that. Oh, well, let's find out who you're playing for, Nicole.
Okay. Maxine Holbert from Fairmont, West Virginia.
Fairmont, West Virginia. You got to say it like that. That's right. Fairmont, West Virginia. Got $2,000. That's a double on there, isn't it?
Yes.
So that goes up to $4,000.
Nicole, you remember that?
I do vaguely, but I do remember it. And I beat her. I beat her. I never thought in my wildest dreams I would beat Shannon, but I did.
Over the years, did you guys become close? Did you guys have, or because I'm assuming because you both are in the same industry, you both had hit shows, you both were great at your craft. I didn't know if your paths crossed at all.
Yeah, they did a lot. I mean, we weren't close later in years. I don't think I'd seen Shannon for quite a number of years. Since like we were going out to nightclubs and stuff like that.
Right.
But we had a lot of mutual friends. And growing up, we were around each other quite a bit. We did Circus of the Stars together, which brought us pretty close. That was pretty intense. And, we were always at the same places doing the same things.
Yeah, she had a pretty epic battle herself. She did a wonderful job,
She did. She fought hard. She really did.
Yeah, and she was a sweet person, and we're gonna get to this hate on the internet a little later, but like just the way she fought back, like she just was kind of a badass in that way. Like, she didn't make herself a target. Like she fought back, and I love that about her. Like
she was always
just,
like that. That's
yes.
just who Shannon was. So Shannon was gonna fight that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really, really awesome. The one last thing I want to ask you before you go into your filmography a bit, you have been not preaching, but talking about new diets that you've kind of incorporated into your life since the diagnosis. Is that correct? Just
Diets?
like, yeah, different foods or whatever.
Yeah.
What have you taken out? What have you? I say this as somebody that wants to drop weight. So I say this to people who want to get healthier. Whatever. What have you taken out? What have you put in? And I'm sorry if this is personal, but I feel like you made this public, so
No, yeah,
whatever.
absolutely.
Yeah, whatever you're comfortable with.
Well, it's interesting because when I first got my diagnosis, I went completely plant-based.
Yep.
And I've always played with being plant-based anyways. I was vegan for many years, then I was vegetarian, then I kind of just didn't call it anything. I eat a lot of plant-based, but if I feel like eating meat, I'll eat it.
Yeah.
I can't pigeonhole myself. But so I went completely plant-based. But when I started treatment, the steroids that they administered, all I wanted was red meat all the time.
Wow.
And it was weird. And so my doctor said, well, you should listen to your body and eat if that's what you need. Maybe your body needs more iron to fight or whatever, but listen to your body. And I'm a big believer in that too. When you have a really strong craving for something, it's probably telling you something. So during the treatment, I ate a lot of red meat. And then when treatment stopped, the craving stopped. And I'm just eating a lot of like veggie protein now. But I add a lot of like science-backed supplements and a lot. I mean, I take so many things. And then I do a lot of things that aren't science-backed, like mushrooms, and I eat apricot seeds, and I drink the soursop soup and tea, and I do all the things. My morning ritual is a little crazy,
Yeah.
and I take a lot of things and put a lot of things that are cancer fighting into my body.
No, that's pretty awesome. It's funny because just doing research on your life, I totally forgot. I didn't forget, but like VH1, which I haven't brought up in a while. Top 100 greatest teen stars, number 89. That's kind of an awesome honor, huh, Nicole?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't appreciate it at the time because I didn't really understand, but yes, very
Yeah.
cool.
The other thing I want to get into was just your life, right? You start off with and I'm saying a lot of this, this, but some people don't. Miss Universe petite pageant, then you kind of do a commercial, a Johnson's baby shampoo commercial, and you kind of gradually make your way. How tough is that path as a child actor, right? Because we hear nightmare stories, we hear wonderful stories, we hear stories. What's your story, Nicole? How did you feel about the whole thing?
It was something that was different. I was so young. I was four and a
Yeah.
half, 5 years old. So really, what did I know? Nothing. Um, I found it fun and, like doing commercials for like Mattel and things like that. You saw all the toys before they came out. You got to play with
Yeah.
them, put your hands on them. That was so exciting and so amazing to me. And when I wanted to get into like the acting side of it, I remember there was I ended up booking the job, but it was to play Cheryl Ladd and Robert Urich's daughter, called When She Was Bad, and it was an ABC movie of the week. Remember when we had those? And
Yeah.
I remember the casting director saying, "But you don't have saying something about not having a resume." And I said, "Well, if nobody would hire me, how do you build a resume if nobody hires you because you don't
Right.
have a resume?" And he looked at me and was like, "What did you just say?" But that's just what made sense to me at that age. I was like, "Well, how am I supposed to have these credits if you're not giving me a job?" And I don't know if that's what got me the job, but I got the job and started, building my resume from there. And I think it's where I was supposed to be because it wasn't hard. I booked jobs. I went from job to job and I worked steadily my entire life. So, I think that sometimes I didn't go out seeking it. I kind of fell into it, and today in 2024, it's a different story. It's a tough deal. It's a tough gig.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, the industry is a completely different thing, and you know, this is a tough year in particular. Nobody's doing anything. There's no casting going on at all. So, you'd have to really, really be passionate to get involved these days.
Yeah. Did you find the adjustment of being so when you're so as you're I just want to cover a few of your roles, but as you get more popular, as you build momentum as an actor, is it hard to kind of go out and people recognize you? Is that a tough adjustment? Like you go from somebody that's kind of built her way up because you've been in it a while. I mean, since you were like a really young kid, and then you kind of come into this, and is it being recognized in public and all that other stuff? Is that a hard adjustment? I would think it would be.
It was hard, being a teenager,
Mm,
because you're awkward anyways, like teenagers, we're all you're so awkward in your teen years, and now you're out and people are looking at you, and I was a particularly self-conscious person and very shy and quite insecure. So, yes, that was tough. I kind of, describe it as like when I would go out, I have tunnel vision. I would, like, not really look at what was going on around
right.
me. I was very much just focused on what I was there to do, get it done, and, like, get out of there. And, that's not the best way to live. And I started noticing that I had adopted that so much that it was just my nature. And as an adult, I had to, get out of that and say, get out of your head, like slow down, look around, enjoy, So that's something I had to work on in my adult life that carried over. But yeah, so it was like, and I can't imagine the kids today because then there were no phones. There was no internet. There wasn't even camcorders yet. So it was like, there were barely anything. So we still had our privacy, although it didn't feel like it. We still
Right.
had our privacy compared to today. So
Yeah, and I always say, like, you and I are the same age, and when we were in school, like, or people our age were in school, like, if you got bullied or something, like, it started in school, maybe ended at school, but now with social media, it follows you home. Like, it's kind
right.
of the same premise, right? Like some of those TMZ and some of those other like rags and all those other places, they're kind of bullies in some way to a lot of people that have celebrity status. But I guess that's a conversation for another day. But yeah, and I have to believe that a bigger transition is going from like a child star as you get older, 18, 19, 20, to then like a sex symbol, Baywatch, all the other stuff. That's got to be a whole nother, especially coming out of your teenage years, which is a battle for everybody. Like, how was that transition, Nicole, making that big step?
Well, it was hard. I mean, I talked about it in our documentary. If you haven't seen it on
That's right.
Hulu.
I have. Yes, yes.
Okay, I talk about it there. For me, I was 19 when I joined Baywatch, and that was exactly my problem, is that the transition, it was not going smoothly. And I was not comfortable, and I wasn't comfortable in my skin, and I didn't sign on to be on Baywatch as a lifeguard. That's not what the plan was. The plan was to join the cast, and they were going to do a spinoff a teen show at a high school near the beach. And so that's what I went into it with, and that's not what came out of it. And it's ultimately why I left the show. So those were really hard years, and I didn't want that sex symbol attention. I wasn't ready for it. I wasn't prepared for it. I was coming out of sexual abuse from a previous show, so I was in kind of a dark place about that. So it just really wasn't it wasn't the gig for me at that time.
Yeah.
Let's just
Yeah.
put it that way.
Nicole, and I'm not gonna. I'll touch on this very briefly. Getting to your comment, when you revealed what happened on, I'll say it. You don't have to. Um, Charles in Charge with Scott Baio, like the fact that people or somebody would say that you're a liar, like kind of infuriated me a little bit. Like, why would anybody bring this up, not feeling what you felt? Like, it kind of made me angry. It didn't kind of. It did make me angry. Like, how dare you? Like, people are completely inappropriate and out of their depth to like ever call out. Like, I don't know. Not that you needed my sympathy, but I'm like, F these people. Like, how dare they? I was just
Yeah.
angry. I was angry.
I was at first too. I was at first angry also. And then I was at this place of like, well, you're creating really bad karma for yourself saying that because you weren't there, you don't know the story, and you
Right.
want to defend somebody who's done something terrible. And then I kind of got to a place where I really realized people are not at their best when they're on social media. They are
Yeah.
just not their best. And, some people are just not strong enough to realize that their teen heartthrob turned out to be a creep.
Right.
They think it's a political, which is even crazier to me that it was a political move.
Yeah.
Um, because I'm like the least political person on earth.
Right.
I will never
Right.
talk politics. I don't want anything to do with it. So people have their different reasons, and I just feel like anybody that said that or thought that, they just have their own like they're lost in their own problems too. Cuz that's just not normal.
Right.
It's just
And
not normal at all.
and I'm like, this poor woman suffered through abuse. Now she has to suffer being called a liar. Like, go F yourselves, you guys. Like, this is like not fair. This is not right. It happens to a lot of people. And I don't know. It's
Yeah.
just like, I don't know.
Well, they hire these crisis managers that then go on and gather people to then attack you. So
Yeah.
it's like it's the abuser continuing the abuse, and it's at some point you have to get to recognizing it for what it is, because otherwise, yeah, it would break you. But yeah, you have to realize that it's just noise.
So let me ask you this, Nicole. So I loved, not knowing this, I loved Charles in Charge. I loved you in that show. I loved the show. I loved the theme. I loved everything about it. Are you able to find any joy in it? I mean, I know what
Yes.
you went through. Are you able to still say, wow, I was pretty good in that. Like, I did a pretty good job.
Yes, I absolutely have a love and adoration for the show, very much. It was hard for me to make the decision to talk about it, too, because of the show. I didn't wanna taint, anybody's, like, fondness of the show, but, and, there in some way, I can just disassociate the 2. It's weird, and I think I was
Right.
able to do it back then, and I think it's a survivor's mentality, and I'm still able to do it. I one doesn't have anything to do with the other for me.
No, no, that's a great point. And we're gonna get to your documentary, which I loved. Um, so what is it like being in a public relationship with Corey Haim? And what makes him such a special person? And how do you look back on your time with him, Nicole?
Corey was a really special guy. He was a sweet guy. He had a big heart. He was a genuine guy. He just had a lot of demons. So it was hard because he went through so many phases in his career, and he was so beloved for so long, and then they kind of turned on him. And there was a while there where he was made fun of and looked down upon, and just he wasn't held in the highest regard, and that it was just heartbreaking. And it was because he was dealing and struggling with addiction and his demons, and his mental health, and whatever, it's his story, not mine. But So it was hard. It was hard to see that happen. When you love somebody like that and you care about them. I couldn't stand by and be um, complicit with his behavior either, but I also hated seeing him being ripped apart in media and stuff like that. So it was really difficult.
Yeah, that's well said. Did we live in the 2 best decades maybe ever, the '80s and '90s, Nicole?
Yes. A
Yeah,
hundred,
I mean,
100%. If
yeah.
I could go back and live in the 80s especially, let's just stay there. Let's
Yeah.
go back and stay there.
You mentioned the movie of the week earlier. I loved you as William Shatner's daughter in T.J. Hooker. I thought that was a very unknown thing that maybe people don't know, but you have some really great roles that, like Married with Children, you're pretty good. It's just like a lot of good stuff that you are in. I want to tell you the most insane thing I read about you
Okay.
was Baywatch. The fact that they want to keep you at a certain weight and then haul in these like trucks, like these food trucks. That is Nicole. That is diabolical work. Like,
It's
listen, we I want you to keep you at this weight, but we're gonna make your mouths water. Like that is Nicole. That is diabolical. Tell me about that because that is
well,
insane to me.
okay, so luckily I had being 19 years old on my side, and it was yes, there was a weight clause that 5 pounds, you couldn't gain or lose 5 pounds. I get it that they wanted people to stay healthy. They didn't want people getting too
Yes,
thin either.
yes,
And at the same time, when you're working at the beach and you're doing stunts and you're doing action all day, people are hungry.
yes.
People are hungry. So they had to feed people well and that they did. So there was a lot of food on set. There was lunchtime was a big deal on that show. But you just learn to you learn to live with it. The irony was just funny about it. Luckily for me, it wasn't an issue. Weight was not a problem back then. So, it didn't really have any effect, but yeah, the irony was not lost and it was pretty humorous.
Nicole, you touched this a little earlier. Like I struggle with self-image just with myself. I couldn't imagine being seen by millions of people in a bathing suit, making sure. Like to me, that's pressure, Nicole. And you touched on this earlier, and you definitely touch on it in a documentary. But like, it's just that's pressure. That is so much pressure. I would imagine.
Yeah, I think that the industry is pressure in general.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fair. Yeah.
And with that show, the other side of me is that I'm a beach girl. I was raised a good portion of my life at the beach, so I'm comfortable at the beach and in a bathing suit. Um, but yeah, it was a weird, balance to be on that show of okay, I'm comfortable, but oh yeah, this is being viewed by the world, and yeah, it was tough, but, again, I had youth on my side.
Yeah. Yeah. You left in '94 for the reasons you stated earlier. Would you have done the same thing if you had to relive that moment?
I don't know. I might not. I might try to somehow make the spinoff happen or,
Mm,
take in more initiative or parlay it into something else. If I could go back with what I know now and
mm.
the mindset of who I am now, I would probably stay and turn it into something, but big lesson learned there. You can't hide. You can run from things, but you can't hide from them. So,
Yeah, this is a documentary. What I love about the documentary, I'm going to hop into it, is that you see a lot of. So yes, David and Pam, everybody gets that, but I feel like it does a great job of showing other things that you might not see, right? Like videos and like things that you never would have seen had the documentary not been created. Like the people that probably should have gotten more credit for the show's popularity. Not that David and Pam don't deserve it, they do, but there's other people involved, right, Nicole?
100%. Yeah, the
Yeah.
documentary definitely is an insider's look at who everybody is that was involved with the show, not just Pam and David, and who these people are and how Baywatch shaped their life and how they shaped Baywatch and the journeys that they've been on since the show. And a lot of people have had some wild rides since the show and because of the show. And, everybody's in a great place. Everybody, no matter what they're doing, if are still acting or if they've moved on, everybody is just so fantastic, and I just wanted people to get to know the actors, like, for who they really are, not just the pretty face and the red bathing suit with the great body standing there and they're interchangeable. there's people here. There are real
Yeah.
people that were affected and, gave their life to this show. So, I wanted to honor that, and I think we did a great job at that. And yeah, you get to see people's home footage and personal photos, on and off the set, and uh, of their life at that time, which is just so amazing. So, yeah, it's a great watch. If you haven't, you can binge watch it on Hulu. It's a 4-part docuseries. It's a good time.
It's must watch. It is called After Baywatch Moment in the Sun. Just a wonderful, wonderful. Just a few more questions, Nicole. Thank you so much for coming on. Like, I'm so
Thanks for
appreciative
having
of
me.
this. How's David? Good guy, David Hasselhoff?
Um, he's kind of what you would expect.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
I'm gonna put it there. It's like what
yeah,
you see is what you get. It's the David show.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know, it's the
yeah.
David show.
Anybody that calls himself by his own nickname, the Hoff, I guess you would say that's the person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who are you closest to for those listening and watching? Who did you kind of have a good rapport with? A lot of this is in the documentary. I get it, but like, how much of who did you find yourself gravitating to a lot?
Well, I really love Erica Eleniak. I
Yeah,
also was friends with her before the show, so that,
yeah,
you know, um, but even still to this day, I get to see her this weekend and we're excited. And I just really love her. Jeremy Jackson, I'm very close with. He's just the biggest heart you would ever meet. Um, I talked to Alexandra Paul a lot. I literally just ran into David Chokichi at the hospital a couple days
mm,
ago.
yeah,
Um, yeah, Gina Lee Nolan, Carmen Electra. I love her. I obviously knew her way before the show too. Um, she's a doll. Um, everybody really, it's so silly to say, but I really like everybody. But those are the ones I talk to the most, I would say.
yeah, yeah. That's a very honest answer. I was thinking about this. Like, before I ask you this, I want to ask you one more thing. When you look back on your filmography and what you have ahead, obviously, but like when you look back, what are you most proud of? Is there one project or one entry in your filmography that you are most proud of that maybe you wish people would give you, not wish, but like maybe more recognition, or like people would notice more? Is there a particular entry of your work that you're super proud of?
Um, yeah, I think there are some projects. I kind of escaping me at the moment because my brain fog is very real, I have to
I
be honest
got you.
with you.
I got you. I
But
got
I
you.
think that there's, I've done things like Clan of the Cave Bear. I'm gonna take that movie for instance. Very underrated. What an experience. I got to play Daryl Hannah younger. Michael
Yeah.
Chapman directed it, and just very cool cinematography. Very great movie to look at. It didn't do so well in the theaters in the box office, but it was great. There are the Rich and Famous, I thought was a great project. Now I'm gonna hang up with you and I'm gonna be like,
Yeah, I should
let me
I
think on that just for 1 second because
okay.
again, my memory. Let's move on and I'll come back to that one.
Okay, all right, all right. So, we talked about tabloids earlier, how they could be cruel. Like, so yesterday, Liam Payne, the One Direction, band member, died, and,
Yes.
TMZ posted pictures of him online. Like, where's the border? Where is the when is
Well,
enough enough? Like, is there a boundary here, or we could just do whatever we want? Like, I don't know. Like, you've been on the wrong end, and many of your friends have been on the wrong end of people just exceeding their boundaries. So, like,
yes.
what is enough, Nicole? Like, how, like, is because first it was with the Inquirer, and and this is not something that's new. And I'm not trying to isolate just TMZ, but yesterday's
Right.
act wasn't an awesome moment for them. But how would you, w- how do how do we approach something like this?
Well, it's weird because it's like it seems like you have to have all the info otherwise because there's so many competitive news, and I use
Mm,
that word lightly. Loosely, news outlets. So in order to get the viewers on you, you have to have the most explicit photos, right? Or
mm,
um now because everybody has a camera and everybody has a phone, you have employees taking pictures of the scene. I saw pictures of his table. Like there was like a lot
Yeah,
of drug
Perez
paraphernalia.
Perez Hilton showed that. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And I just feel like it's kind of icky. There's just really no privacy. There's really not. It's just crossed a boundary. And like you say, I don't know where that boundary lies because I think that and when we learned this when Kobe Bryant had his crash, right? And they took pictures.
right.
His wife won a huge lawsuit that's
That's
just
right.
not,
That's
it's
right.
inhumane behavior to be taking
Mhm.
pictures. So it's it's like how far are they willing to push it? I don't
Yeah,
know. It's kind of scary, honestly.
yeah. Nicole, I think I have a good sense of humor. I think I get dry sarcasm. And
Yeah.
I have to ask you this because I kind of got mad at this. And I'm like, wait a second. I think they were being sarcastic, but I don't know. So in 2009, Funny or Die, you do a thing for them.
Yeah.
And the quote on the bottom says, Nicole Eggert looking a little different than she used to. And I'm like, what? She's gorgeous. Like, what do you talk? Like, I'm looking at this Funny or Die video. And for those who haven't seen it, it's you running out to save these two guys or whatever. And I'm like, I don't understand this. Were you in on a joke? Was it
Yeah.
sarcasm? Nicole, help me understand this. Help a not smart guy get this.
Okay, so I was out somewhere and then well, okay, one day I'm at the grocery store. This is how it really kind of went down. And I look over and I see myself on the cover of a tabloid and I look heavy in it. And it's talking about that I've gained weight and I'm unrecognizable and this and that. So I went to my manager and I said, "Do you know anybody at Funny or Die? Let's do like a spoof on that." That was like my
Right.
rebuttal. And, I said, "Let's show what I look like," and I was letting my belly hang out. We actually did a couple takes and they're like, "Can you push the belly out?" I was trying to make myself look as overweight as possible in the video. And it was it was interesting because people would comment like, "That's not funny. She's not overweight."
Right. At
Like
all.
people who didn't know me and didn't
Yeah.
know the backstory were
Right.
like, that's not what she's not. This isn't funny. That's mean. This is." So it was my way of jabbing back at, "Look, this is when I'm trying to look my worst. I
Gotcha.
still look better than that picture you put on
Yeah.
the cover of the magazine," because this is what paparazzi do, and this is something that I've been going through recently. And they wouldn't do this if I wasn't battling cancer. Let's be honest. If I was living my normal, healthy life, they wouldn't do it. But I'll call one outlet out. It's Daily Mail. They've got a photographer parked outside my house all the time. And what they'll do is if I go down to my mailbox, like if I walk down that driveway to my mailbox and I'm in my pajamas or whatever, they are shooting pictures and they are saying, "We caught Nicole Eggert out and about in Los Angeles." And they do it all the time. And every single time it's me getting my mail. And you can't tell that I'm getting my mail because they get me at different angles and before I hit the mailbox. And they they waited one day and I got dropped off after chemo. And I have a grocery store like right across the street from me. And I walked over there because I wanted to get some last minute groceries so that I knew I'd be out for the next few days. And I wanted to make sure the fridge was stocked with healthy
Right.
food for my kid. So I go there and they're snapping pictures, and they're up the next day. Every single time, "Nicole Eggert, out and about, out and about." No, I'm not out and about. If I'm out and about, fair game, fine. But when I just finished chemotherapy and
Mm.
I am at my house, this is not out and about. So like, let's be honest here. Um, just say Nicole going to get her mail. Why can't you say it? Why do you have to make up stories that I'm out in public when I have just come from the hospital or I'm in my pajamas? I'm feeling the worst I could
Mm.
possibly feel. And you're grabbing those pictures and you're putting them up as if I'm out shopping in LA. It's unfair and it's gross and it's lame. And they're the only outlet that does it. They're the only ones that do it at this day to me right now. And And the damaging part of that is that other people then pick up the story, and then they republish the story, and you're like, this is me outside. Those
Yeah.
are my plants. Those are my hedges. This is not me out and about. So I just think they're unfair like that, because I don't think you kick people when they're down.
Mm.
And I feel like for this kid who just had this tragic accident or suicide, whatever they're calling it, his family, like, where is the respect? Where is the privacy? You just, you know, you're right. It's at this place of, where's the boundaries? And there doesn't seem that there is any.
Yeah. And Nicole, are these people capable of like reasonable conversation? Have you ever approached them and say, listen, or her, and just say, listen, can you guys just give me like a little bit can I just have some of my private life back? Just a little bit of it. Can you give me a little bit of humanity back? Like, are they receptive to like reasonable conversation?
Well, the thing is that they're always in a different car, and for some reason they trick me every time. Like, when I'm on the lookout for them,
Yeah.
I don't find it. Sometimes I see them. That's not true. Sometimes I will spot them, especially if they're following me. I can tell when they're following me, because they do this stupid thing where they keep pulling over, and then they pull back, and they pull over, and they pull back. And then I'm like, "Oh, there they are. I can see them." But for a lot of it, they trick me. They really do, because I can't live my life constantly looking around to see if there's a photographer. Otherwise, I become weird and paranoid, and then I'm not paying attention to what I'm doing, especially if I'm driving. I have to really kind of focus on what I'm doing, and they get me. They just get me. But I know I was very tempted, because they did it to me the other day. I went for a
Yeah.
blood draw, and I came home, and they got me walking to the mailbox again, and out and about in LA. And I was so tempted to make a video shaming them and calling them out. I was so close to hitting record and calling them out, but um it's something that comes along with it. And I think about, if you walk up to them and talk to them, the terrible pictures they're going to get, and what is the story they're going to write of why
Right.
you walked up to the car. It just
Right.
can really get out of hand, and you open a can of worms, and then you wish you never did that. So it's a lose-lose situation. But if that's what they're doing to me, I can't imagine what they do to people who are on shows, or are really in the media, and really like in the press. I can't even fathom. It's terrible.
Yeah, I could picture the headline: Nicole Eggert expresses her rage towards
You
photographer.
know?
Like, yeah, that I could totally see that happening. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But you've had to go through this, I would say, for a lot of your life. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, you know, because I remember the
Yeah.
magazines when we were younger, those things. My God, you must have been. This is something that it takes pretty thick skin. But like chemotherapy is like next level. It's like,
It's next
just
level.
give me,
See,
yeah,
before I didn't give a shit, because listen,
yeah,
I'm living my life, I'm being me, whatever. I don't have anything to be ashamed of. I'm fine. But yeah, when you're going through chemo, it's like, and it's funny because I read the comments on one of them the first time they did it to me, and it was when I was at the market trying to get some food, and the comments were like, "Well, did you help her with her groceries? Like, what are you doing?" You know? Like,
yeah.
and I hope that they read that, and that they have it has to burn in their subconscious somewhere. Like, these people have to live with themselves.
Yeah, I will say you've done an amazing job, whether it's a Today Show, Good Morning America, all these types of shows. You were fantastic on many of these shows, Nicole. You've done a really great job just being a human person, just being, somebody that's, just very genuine. And I love seeing those interviews that you did within the last 6 months, a year, just really honest moments, Nicole.
Thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. To circle back to your previous question about
Okay.
shows. So something I did that I really loved doing was a movie called Holiday Switch.
Okay.
Um, but it does get recognition. It was like one of the number one Hallmark, I think it was Hallmark or Lifetime movies of its time. So and people write to me about it all the time. But it's a really silly, quirky little movie, and it's something I'm just proud of, because it came out fun. It came out, you can see everybody's, that we had such a good time shooting it. It really shows
Yeah.
everybody's chemistry was amazing. And it's one that I'm really and it's just one of the sillier ones, but it's something that puts people in a good mood. It has a good message, and I love it, and my kids could watch it.
Yeah, I'm gonna check that out. So let me ask you, did I see that you did some voiceover work recently? Did I see that? Did I read that
Oh,
correctly?
I did Robot Chicken not too long ago.
Yeah. How do you like that? How do you like doing that?
I love it. I did a lot of it as a child. I did a
Yeah.
lot of voiceover work as a kid. I would love to get back into it. And Seth Green, who I've known forever, called me up and said, "Hey, do you want to come on down and do a couple episodes?" And so I was like, "Absolutely." So it's something that I think about. It's something I would like to get into more. It's just that everything is so saturated. There's
It
just,
is. It is.
there's so many people that want to do that. It's just yeah,
Before
it's
you
taxing.
before you, I was talking to, like, just a couple days ago, I was talking to an actor from Reno 911, but like he does a lot of voiceover work, and
Uh-huh.
some of the projects he gets to do from home. I'm like, what a
Is
sweet
this
gig! Like,
Carlos? We talked to
yes,
Carlos?
yeah, yes, yeah.
My neighbor. Yes. Our
Wow,
kids go to school together.
how weird
Yeah.
is that?
I know Carlos very well.
Yeah,
Yes.
but like the idea that like you could sometimes do it from home, or sometimes it's a short commute. Like that's like gonna be the dream gig, right, Nicole?
It is. Because we're where we live right here, especially is all the voice studios are right here. Yeah, and
Yeah,
he's got a great little setup at his place, and, yeah, he works a lot. He works nonstop in that world.
yeah, yeah. He does. What a small world.
I know.
Moving forward, what's on the docket for you? Just where do you want to go? What do you want to be doing? Like, do you want to get into? We talked about voice work, potentially other projects. I know it's a very not a great time to be an actor, I suppose. But what
It's not a great time to be an actor, but on that same token, it's a great time then for me to get through my treatment.
Yes,
So
yes,
I'm not really
yes,
missing out on anything. So I
yes,
gotta get
yes,
this treatment done. I've gotta be cancer free,
yes.
and then I will figure that out. I'm definitely whatever I do choose to do next, I'm coming with a fearlessness that, I've never had before.
Yeah,
So, I think about it and I'm not sure, and I don't have options right now because there's nothing going on.
gotcha.
Um, so I kind of just focus on breast cancer awareness and getting healthy, and then when I accomplish that, um, I get to decide what's next. And who
Yeah,
knows? Well, I mean, I don't even know if it'll be in this industry. Will it? I don't know. I don't know much else, but yeah, I just your life can change so quickly and a year can make the biggest difference in your life. So,
yeah.
you know, I'm just trying to ride it and, ride this wave of life and see where it takes me.
Nicole, I'll end with this. What have you learned about yourself just going through all of this? I mean, outside of the fact that you have two amazing kids, what have you learned about yourself through this whole process?
I really I learned that I wasted a lot, way too many years worrying too much, worrying, being stressed out, not feeling adequate, not feeling good enough, being afraid, fear. We a lot of us live in fear, uh, and I spent way too much time there in that place, and I'm thankful that I have time ahead of me that I can now live differently. And I say in the weirdest way, cancer brought me happiness because if it was not for my diagnosis, I'm not sure what would have stopped me from living like that and now living so appreciatively and with such a more openness about me and just not scared, a fearlessness that I wouldn't take it back. I wouldn't go back, to be honest with you. I would never go
Mm,
back. Um, so I'm a completely different person. I'm I'm who I always wanted to be and who I was trying to be, and I feel like something allowed me to break through and break free and give myself the permission to be that person.
how awesome is that? You know what? I can't believe I didn't bring this up. You found it with a self-diagnosis. Like this wasn't like they missed it on
Yeah.
the tests, right? How did I
Yeah,
not
they
ask
missed
you this question earlier? Oh my God.
yeah, they missed it for years. So feel yourself up, people. Feel yourself up. Something you have to do. If I had, I would have found it sooner and I wouldn't have to go through all the crap I'm going through.
Yeah.
But luckily I did. I mean, I am the one that found it. It was kind of late, but not too late. Um, so definitely that's my message is feel yourself up. Men
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, Nicole, I will say this. Thank you for everything you've done in your life, and I am wishing you nothing but the best of health and happiness through the rest of your life. And hopefully down the road you can come on anytime you want. And I really appreciate your time here. And you're really good people. Thank you for this.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, and thank you for the kind words.